It was a Saturday morning, and the house was wrapped in an uncharacteristic, heavy silence. Our parents had departed early to tackle a long list of errands, leaving behind a stillness that I rarely had the chance to experience. Usually, the hallways were filled with noise, but that morning, I felt like I had the entire world to myself. I decided to treat myself to a long, luxuriant shower. In our household, this was a luxury I was seldom afforded. Typically, my brother Ryan would be pounding relentlessly on the bathroom door within minutes, shouting for me to hurry up so he could take his turn. But that morning was different. As the steam filled the room and the hot water cascaded down, I found myself humming a soft tune, completely losing myself in the rare, uninterrupted peace. I was deep in thought, almost hypnotic under the spray, when the bathroom door suddenly creaked open. I froze. My heart skipped a beat, and a cold wave of anxiety washed over me despite the hot water. "Oh, hello," I called out, my voice trembling with nervousness and sudden irritation. To my utter shock, I saw Ryan standing there. But he wasn't the brother I knew. He looked deathly pale, his face flushed with a heat that clearly had nothing to do with embarrassment or a prank. He wasn't laughing, and he wasn't throwing a sarcastic comment my way as he usually did. Instead, he stood there trembling, his voice cracking as he stammered out an apology. I'm so sorry," he managed to say, his eyes darting around frantically. "I didn't mean to barge in like this, but something is terribly wrong." In an instant, my annoyance evaporated, replaced by a sharp, cold spike of concern. "What's happened?" I asked urgently. I reached out to turn off the water, grabbing a thick towel and wrapping it tightly around myself as I stepped out into the misty room. Ryan didn't move toward the door to leave. Instead, he leaned heavily against the porcelain sink, his hands shaking so violently that the metal fixtures rattled. "I think I'm having a panic attack," he whispered, his voice barely audible. I couldn't breathe. Everything felt like it was closing in, and I didn't know where else to go. I just needed. He stopped, swallowing hard, his chest heaving as he fought for air. In that moment, a profound realization hit me. This was my brother, the one who always wore a mask of toughness, the one who constantly teased me for being a too sensitive or dramatic. He was the one who acted like nothing in the world could ever rattle him. Yet, for the first time in our lives, I was seeing a side of him that had been carefully hidden behind walls of sarcasm and bravado. He was vulnerable. He was terrified. He was in desperate need of a lifeline. I reached out, gently taking his arm, and guided him to sit on the edge of the bathtub. I sat down right beside him in the quiet, damp room. We sat together in a heavy silence, broken only by the sound of his ragged gasps. "It's okay," I whispered softly, placing a steadying hand on his shoulder. "You aren't alone, Ryan. I'm right here. Just focus on me. Breathe with me. In or and out." Minutes stretched into what felt like hours as we sat there in the steam. Gradually, the violent trembling in his limbs began to subside. His breathing leveled out, and the frantic look in his eyes started to soften into something more grounded. Finally, he looked at me, his eyes watery and rimmed with red, and he muttered, "I didn't know what else to do. I honestly thought you'd hate me for barging in on you." I shook my head slowly, looking him directly in the eye so he could see I meant it. "Ryan, you're my brother. You can come to me whenever you need to, no matter what is happening, and no matter where I am. You never have to face this by yourself." That singular moment, born out of a frightening accident, changed the entire trajectory of our relationship. For as long as I could remember, we had existed in a state of constant, petty friction. We fought over the front seat of the car, argued over who got the last slice of pizza, and bickered over who forgot to turn off the lights. We were siblings who shared a roof, but we didn't truly know each other. But that day, the walls came down. I realized there was so much more depth to him than the tough guy persona he projected to the world. I realized he needed someone who wouldn't judge his struggles, someone who could see his cracks and still stand by him. From that morning on, our bond shifted into something much deeper and more resilient. We started talking openly about the things that actually mattered. The arguments became fewer and further between. I became his safe harbor, the person he could be real with, and in return, he became mine. What could have been remembered as nothing more than an awkward, embarrassing bathroom incident turned into the foundation of a true friendship. Looking back, I realized that was the day my brother finally let me see the real him. We stopped being just two people living under the same roof and started becoming each other's greatest allies. Sometimes, the most unexpected moments, the ones that feel like messy accidents or intrusive mistakes, are exactly the ones that change the fabric of a family forever. It took a broken door and a moment of fear to finally open the path to a love that would last a lifetime.